Hello, welcome back to Everlasting Summer. Okay, for the next parts, there's a settings menu, so I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna do a full screen for the rest of the novel now. Okay. I just didn't look at the settings at first. I don't really feel like it. I woke up early when Olga Dmitrievna was still asleep. I stretched and sat up in the bed. I felt surprisingly okay, although I should have slept through the day after what happened the night before. Quietly, so as not to wake the camp leader, I took the bag with my washing up stuff and went outside. I forgot to look at the clock, but it seemed like 6 or 7 in the morning. The camp was asleep. The grass was shaking off the night dew, a light fog hung above the ground, and the sun was just beginning to break through the treetops, not warm at all yet, like the fluorescent lamp in the house across from mine. I took a deep breath of the tasty cold air and thought that even a night owl like me can enjoy waking up this early sometimes. The streets of the camp were empty, of course. The water here has always been cold, but today it seems like they got it from the Antarctic depths. Even my hands went numb from it. Finishing with my hygiene, I decided to walk around the camp a bit. Olga Dmitrievna is asleep. Breakfast's not for a while yet, so there's nothing to do. I came to the square and looked at Genda. That guy doesn't care if it's day or night. He's alert. I smiled at my successful joke and headed to the boat shed. As I walked, I hummed some song, absolutely sure I was the only one awake here. To my great surprise, I saw someone sitting at the pier, hanging her feet in the water. Alisa. I came closer and stopped, not sure what to say. Then she suddenly turned around and stared at me. Been standing here long? No. Why aren't you asleep? Why aren't you? She turned back and stared at the river again. Looks like I'm not the only one in a good mood today. At least she wasn't being sassy again. Can't sleep? I see. About yesterday. You get everything right. What exactly? Oh, for God's sake. My answer didn't seem to go down well. Alright, I did. I lied. Alright, good. She suddenly looked straight in the eye and smiled. In that case, I have plans for you tonight. May I ask what they are? You don't need to know. Well, since I'm a part of them, you'll know when it's time. Can you give me a hint at least? Nope. She got up and walked towards me. A bit scared, I cleared the way. Don't do anything stupid, Alisa said, moving away from the boat shed. I wondered what she meant. And what are those plans? I had no wish to become a part of some terrorist act against a monument or anything. Besides, I was still haunted by yesterday's talk with Lena on the island. She was probably still angry. And I never managed to explain everything to her. Although I don't even know what I would say if I had the chance. I felt guilty about everything that had happened, but I couldn't figure out what exactly I was guilty of. The camp was starting to wake up. Breakfast was at least an hour away, but I had no desire to go back to the camp leader's cabin, so I decided to wait by the canteen. At least I'd be the first one there for once. I sat on the steps and watched the sun rising. Sometimes it's great to just watch a new day come. I was overwhelmed with complete peace and tranquility. There were no thoughts to tear my brain, as they usually do. I simply bathed in warm rays of the heaven star. In any other place and circumstances, I could probably even say I was happy. Good morning, you're early today. I looked up and saw Lena standing in front of me. She was smiling. You too. All of last night's events flashed before my eyes. Listen, if this is about yesterday, please don't. She interrupted me sharply. I don't know what came over me. It was all... Just forget it. She stared at me. Lena seemed much more confident than usual. If only it was all that simple. There's nothing complicated about this. She sat down next to me. So close I felt a bit awkward, but made no attempt to move away from her. Sometimes I have disputes with Alisa. Yeah, I realized. I see. But in this case it happened because of me. Who knows? She answered, lost in thought. So that's why, I'm embarrassed. Perhaps I really am to blame. Or rather, I'm not trying to say that I'm not to blame, but I was trying to explain myself like a 5th grader to a teacher. Okay, don't. As I said, nothing serious happened. If you think so, you should just think about how to act from now on. Not again. I covered my face with my hands, clear showing that I have absolutely no idea what's going on here, and that everything, to put it mildly, is very unpleasant for me. Could you express yourself any clearer? What for? She said evasively. Look, if I don't know what I did wrong, I can't do better. I can't decide on how to act as you say. I think you'll understand. I would like to believe that as well, but... the canteen door suddenly flew open and Olga Dmitrievna came out. Sitting around hungry this early? She said playfully. Good morning, Lena said merrily. She got up and headed inside. Shall we? Yeah, sure. We were not done talking, but pioneers appeared out of nowhere and flooded the place. By the time I got my breakfast, Lena was already sitting, surrounded by Miku, Zenya, and Slavia. Sadly, there were no more free chairs at their table. Feeling down and deliberately not saying hi to anybody, I headed to my favorite place in the far corner of the canteen. I chewed my oatmeal, it really was chewy today, and washed it down with some cold tea. Then I began to watch the others. All the pioneers seemed to be here. Some were chatting, some, like Electronic and Shirk, were immersed in chewing, and some were gawping around like me. I was just about to leave when Oleana jumped over to my table with her tray heaped with food. Bon appetit? She blurted. Stealing again? I asked, openly staring at her tray. A growing body requires a lot of calories. Yeah, you really should grow up a bit, I whispered. What? I didn't think she heard me. Nothing. I headed out. Leaving so soon? She yelled at my back, disheartened. I gave no answer. I should have taken the washing up stuff back in. I don't want to carry it around all day. Besides, what am I going to do today? Nothing at all came to mind. I was in such a mood that it seemed like someone was going to show up and invite me on a journey. I left the camp leader's cabin and paused for a moment, then heard a voice calling out to me. Semyon. Oh, Semyon. It was Slavia. Semyon. Busy? Oh. Can you help me? Of course. I didn't want to look for answers on a wonderful day like this. A couple dozen hours wouldn't change my situation after all. What is it? You should stop by the Cybernetics Club. I don't know why exactly. They'll tell you everything. The unfortunate inventors again. Alright. Thank you. She gave me a nice smile and ran off. So, a journey to the enemy's lair lies ahead of me, to the lair of the evil Dr. Electronic and the Dialogue. Professor Shirk. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I pushed the door firmly and entered. Semyon. Electronic said a bit honestly, glancing up from some contraption he had been poking with a screwdriver. Slavia sent me. I know. And what? The second door opened and Shirk came in. Semyon. He greeted me in the same tone Electronic had. Well, I was last time I checked. I joked. So what do you need from me? We have an important task for you. I'm listening. The nurse came by yesterday. He stopped as if he wasn't going to continue. So? I asked carefully. So we have an important mission for you. I got that already. You are to deliver a package to her. Can't you do that yourselves? The infirmary's right over there, I said skeptically. We can't, Electronic said, surprised. What a weird couple indeed. I see. Not an overhead bag, I hope. No, nothing like that. He smiled. Alright, fine. I carefully agreed. Hold on. Shirk disappeared through the door and soon came back holding something wrapped in paper. Just be careful. Alright. I took the package. If the pioneers weren't passing me the key to the pearly gates, it still looked like they were at least giving me the Olympic torch. Can I go? Of course, Electronic said threateningly. Just be careful, Shirk pleaded. Outside, I took a good look at the package. They never told me not to open it, although it would make sense to go further on. I quickly walked to the spare and, making sure nobody was following, slipped into the forest. I just stood there for a while, indecisive, looking at the package. I wonder, what's in it? Why is it so important for them? Why couldn't they take it in, themselves? I had a lot of questions. I opened the package and saw a bottle of Stolichnaya vodka. Well, so what? Pioneers bringing a bottle of vodka to the nurse. Or rather, I'm doing it for them. Happens every day. I wrapped the bottle back up and scratched my head. This isn't a weird anymore. This is just stupid. So stupid I couldn't think of one intelligent theory. I stood there for a while longer and thought I shouldn't let such a wonderful chance slip away. I quickly walked to the camp leader's cabin. Thank God Olga Dmitrievna was not here. I stuck inside and began to rifle through the contents of the table drawer. Soon the vodka was in a soda bottle, while in its place Happy with my clever plan, I went out and skipped along the way to the infirmary. Seriously, what is so wrong about that? They almost got me into a trap. If the camp leader had seen me, if anyone else had, I could have managed myself. So it was absolutely nothing. I gathered all my strength and knocked on the infirmary door. Hello, Pioneer. Hello, I have a package for you. A bottle for your armpit. A package for your cabinet. I was so euphoric I began to talk nonsense. Ah, she said. Hand it over. I handed her the package. The nurse stuffed it into the desk drawer without looking. You didn't open it, did you? Of course not. I blurted out. Good boy. Alright, so I'll be... Go, Pioneer. I closed the door behind me and let out a sigh. I could always pin this on the crazy inventors. In my situation, I could really use even the most basic form of stress relief. I came to the square. The clock showed noon. That meant dinner was coming. I sat on a bench with the solid intention of not moving from here until the come and get it bell sound comes. Pioneers were running by. They were smiling and shouting merrily. Yes, the day was definitely a wonderful one. I glanced over the square and saw Lena approaching. Relaxing? Something like that. She sat by me and looked at the sky. Nice day, huh? It is. It was a bit awkward. Lena seemed different. She was not embarrassed. Her face was not red. She was confident. So about that conversation. I told you everything already? Yeah, but just forget it. If you say so. We sat for a little longer in silence. I just can't. Not like that. So what do you think about Alisa? She said, ignoring my inquiry. What do I think about Alisa? I repeated, lost in thought. I don't really know. Why? You're just so worried about yesterday. Well, of course, but what does that have to do with it? There's a direct connection there. She laughed. Let's assume... So what? Well, she... And again, I started thinking. Really, what do I think of her? Well, she can be arrogant sometimes. That's right. What else can I say? Now that I think of it, I don't know Alisa at all. The way she acts does annoy me sometimes. If you are wondering if I had any negative feelings about her, then no. I mean, she gets carried away, but everyone has their quirks. Lena stared at me. Really? Did I say something wrong? No, not really. She laughed out loud one more time, just before the lunch bell sound came. Alright, see you. I didn't stop her, although I had a lot of questions left. But how do I ask them? And should I? I got up and slowly shuffled to the canteen. There were only a few spots left, so I had to sit with Electronic and Shurik. Did you deliver it? Yeah, I answered lazily, poking my fork at the buckwheat kasha. No incidents? No incidents. What was in there anyway? You didn't open it, did you? He stared. No. Great. Finishing my meal, I went out. I was struck by a sudden yawn. Taking a nap wouldn't be a bad idea. I headed to the camp leader's cabin. It felt like the summer sun was going to melt the whole planet together with all its inhabitants. There was nowhere to hide. The sunlight seemed to reflect from every surface. Looking up, you risk going blind. Using my last bit of strength, I pulled the door handle, entered the room, and fell into the bed. Of course, I wouldn't expect the cabin to be really cool, but it was much better than outside. Blissfully, I stretched out on the bed and closed my eyes. Strangely, sleep deserted me. I was overwhelmed with thoughts teeming in my head. Here is another theory, a solution to the problem of how I got here. Here is an explanation of what's going on here. And here is the true form of all those inhabiting this place. I remembered Lena saying, "What do you think about Alisa?" Seriously, what do I think of her? What can I think of a person I've only known for a few days? Can I just draw conclusions based on a couple of words and deeds? Although her deeds... I laughed a bit. Any relevant organization would draw the right conclusion based on the monument bombing. Still, though, I don't care. Maybe I really don't think anything of her. Can one be interested in a person who's not interesting? No, that's some sort of absurdity. A knock on the door. Be interested in the uninteresting. Go ahead. I was too lazy to get up, so I just sat up a little bit. The door opened and I saw Alisa. What a coincidence. She stopped, unsure, and stared at me for a couple of seconds. I guess you were looking for the camp leader? Why was she, though? No. What's up, then? I was looking for you. She sounded calm and not aggressive at all. I caught myself thinking I was not afraid of her, and I had no concerns when she behaved like that, normally. What for? I want to make everything clear. She sat on the bed across from me. What exactly? I want to clean up any misunderstandings or miscommunications. Alright, I'm up for that. Have you spoken with Lena today? Yes. About what? Nothing really. You're lying. Alyssa looked stiff and worried. She crossed her legs and bit her lip. You do understand I'm always assumed to be guilty whenever anything happens. Well, you always are guilty, I said thoughtlessly. A spark flashed in her eyes, but she kept talking calmly. Maybe, but in this case, me and Lena, we're always like that. Even if she starts something, she's all innocent, and I take all the blame. So you're saying that Lena... Actually, I don't really know what you're saying. You never understand anything, do you? She fumed. This is strange. I wouldn't call myself slow. So explain. You do know Lena likes you? She went right after those words. No, I answered truthfully. Well, now you do. Now I do. An uncomfortable silence overtook the room. I was processing what she said, and Alyssa seemed unsure of how to continue the conversation. Lena likes me. Could I ever have guessed? Unlikely. My intuition is usually good, but when it's about me and my feelings, it does not work at all. The weirdest thing was, I accepted the news with almost no worries. Right at the moment, I was listening to Alisa. I was focused only on her. I could think about the rest later. And she thinks I'm going to steal you away from her. She thinks that all the time, understand? Even though it's always the other way around. Everyone looks at her because she's such an angel, and nobody pays any attention to me. To them, I'm just a shoulder to cry on. Alyssa started screaming. Look, please don't get so upset. I don't think of you like that. Of course. I still had no idea what forced her to be so honest. I didn't know how to react. Moreover, I was not worried at all. It was like I was watching another episode of some TV series, and what was going on in the room was on the other side of the screen. I understand, I was the reason for all of it, but today Lena said it was okay. That's just like her. You probably realize that she's not as quiet as she wants to seem. I started to guess. If I can do anything, tell me. Alyssa raised her eyes. Only then did I see she's been crying. Some sort of worry stirred inside of me. I could not treat this conversation like I was an outsider anymore. Do you like Lena, or do you like me? I guess I should have expected a question like that, but I just wasn't ready. Just like that. Lena is nice, of course, but Alyssa has her good points as well. Besides, the way she was at the moment, she could seriously compete with Lena. I don't really know you two at all. A question like that, it's difficult to answer directly. If I could say no, I would have at that very moment. But I only had one chance for the other answer as well. I didn't know what to choose. You did want the situation to resolve itself. Of course, but... Why but again? Why again? Why? Look, we're going nowhere with this. Well, answer then. Her face fell back into its usual bold arrogance. I need time to think. Well, go ahead and think. Alyssa stood abruptly and headed out. Don't forget we have plans for tonight, she said on the threshold, smiling. The door closed behind her before I could say anything. Plans? What kind of plans? The talk with Alyssa left a heavy impression on me. So Lena likes me. On its own, the news could shock and startle, and I, above that, was also forced to make a choice, a difficult one, to put it mildly, and any choice I make would be a mistake for someone. If only I could refuse them both, although I didn't like the word refuse itself. If I could just answer a question with a no, it would be easier, but I knew it couldn't work like that. After I talked to Alyssa, I realized nothing would ever be the same again. It can't be, no matter what happens, and I'll have to make a decision. Since I rejected the no scenario, I needed to pick a positive solution. If, of course, I could live with it. But I was sure that out of all the possible outcomes, there's one that won't just satisfy everyone, but would also be one that I would want to strive for, and the choice seems obvious. Lena. She's pretty, she's cute, she's kind, but then again, there was something about Alyssa that attracted me. Suddenly the door flew open and Olga Dmitrievna came in. Lounging around again, huh? Just resting. It's so hot out here. Go and help Slavia, she was asking around. Where? I asked lazily. On the sports field. Reluctantly, I got up and headed out. I should really air my brown out anyway. There were a lot of people at the sports grounds. Some were playing football, others were playing badminton. Younger kids were just chasing each other. Semyon! Slavia walked up to me. You require my assistance? I asked, all official-like. Yeah. Listen, did you take the infirmary key? No. Why me again anyway? Well, you were there a lot recently. I guess she is right. No. Maybe you know who did? No, why? The nurse came up to me to ask for my key. You know that I have a key to every building in the camp. She said hers went missing. Could she have lost it? I shrugged. No, she says she couldn't have. I don't know, okay? Okay? She smiled and ran off. I headed to the camp leader's house, determined to get some sleep after all. Olga Dmitrievna wasn't there, thank God, so I fell in the bed and lost consciousness. I don't exactly remember what I dreamt of, but it left a heavy impression, as afternoon naps often do. It's interesting how Alisa and Lena are connected, and now they're both interested in me. I put some effort into getting off the bed and looked at the clock. It was just after 7. Not surprising if you think about it. I should have expected to sleep through the day, although, as it turns out, I missed dinner as well. That thought made me uncomfortable, and I headed to the exit. I stopped on the threshold and thought of what to do next. I don't know how long I would have stood there. My head was still heavy after sleep if someone hadn't called out to me. Savia was quickly walking towards the cabin. Semyon, she started, breathless. Are you sure you don't have the infirmary key? Of course not. Why would I need it? Well, do you know who took it? No, I don't. Why? Well, something has gone missing. What? Something important. Savia hesitated. Some medication. So all this disturbance was started because of some medicine? Although, I pondered. I mean, I have the bottle in my cabin. Did she mean that? I tried to keep my face still as stone without doing anything to get myself away. Okay. I don't know, I'm sorry. Okay, Savia said in frustration. I looked at her and tried to figure out how bad the situation was for me, or whether I was in trouble at all. On the one hand, I had vodka, I did steal it. Then again, she's saying it's gone, hasn't disappeared, all by itself with no external influence. Although it's highly unlikely that she would say that a bottle of trophy vodka was stolen from the infirmary. So the way it was said was okay, the problem was different. I suddenly got really scared. What if they find out that was me? Even if it wasn't about the bottle, they'd still find it while looking for what was gone. Basically, I had to get a move on. And the main thing to do right now was to get rid of all the evidence. I jumped into the cabin, shoved the bottle under my belt, and raced to the forest. Buried it somewhere was the best decision at the moment. I took my time looking for a spot, never noticing night falling on the camp. A familiar voice surprised me. Hey. I struggled to turn back, making my face look as casual as possible. So, what's going on here? Oh, I'm just having a walk. My voice sounded calm, but I already understood. I couldn't fool Alisa. Alone? At night? In the woods? Well, yeah, what's wrong? Nothing at all. She stared at me. Okay, then I'll... Hold on. Aren't you forgetting something? Don't think so. We had an agreement. About tonight. I think she's right. There was something like that. Yes, but you see... No, I don't. Let's go. She turned around and gestured me to follow. I thought there was no point in arguing. Any word or action could give me away. And then, sighing, I followed. It was a couple of minutes before we reached her cabin. While we were walking, I was busy trying to find the best time and place to ditch the vodka, but Alisa stayed so close that I couldn't manage anything. Well? She stared at me. Well, what? I was so nervous that my hair was wet with sweat. The only thing on my mind at the moment was how to adjust the bottle so she wouldn't notice. What do you say? About what? Alisa pondered. Okay, I guess you're right. I brought you here, so I'm the one to decide. Okay, I agreed, unsure. Hold on a minute. She reached under the bed in a few seconds. Pulled out the bottle of Stolchnaya vodka. I was shocked. Surprised, huh? Of course. Not by the vodka itself, though, but by the fact that it was the exact bottle I carried to the infirmary in the morning. The murky contents gave it away. So? Alisa looked at me teasingly. What? Want to take a shot? I didn't even know what to say to that. What she had was just rotten water. The real vodka was in the bottle under my belt. Well, I kind of... Don't tell me you don't drink. Alisa pouted. I don't know. No, I just... Alright then, just a second. In just an instant, Alisa got 2 glasses and filled them to the brim. Let's do this, she said, giving me one of the glasses and downed hers before I could answer. She gasped. In a moment she realized. What on earth is that? She started spitting. They call this vodka? Despite my difficulty, I couldn't help laughing. What are you laughing at? Alisa shouted right in the face. I'm asking you, what's so funny? It actually is funny. So you're having fun? Drink yours, we'll see how you laugh then. I had no desire to try the still water, but just to avoid making her suspicious, I asked. So, how does it taste? Like rotten water, Alisa said, upset. I was just going to relax a bit, have a cultured timeout, and then a cultured timeout. I repeated as a new bout of laughter bent me in half. Hey, stop it! Alisa shouted and jumped at me. She was trying to hit me or bite me or something. Maybe her plan was to crush me to death with her authority. I just grabbed her hands, and all she could do was gasp in powerless anger. All was going fine, but then Alyssa's legs slid and she began to fall. I let go of her hands, so she fell right on top of me, painfully headbutting me in the nose. I moaned in pain, threw her off, and turned to the side. What do we have here? When I realized she had taken the bottle, all the pain disappeared. Give that back! I tried to get the bottle back, but Alisa nimbly jumped off the bed and ran to the far corner of the room. Let's see, huh? She immediately removed the cap and took a big gulp. In a moment, her face went red and her eyes seemed to pop out of their sockets. What is this? She rasped while coming back to her senses. That's the actual vodka. I seemed to have come to terms with my defeat. But where did you get it? You really thought you had stolen the right one from the infirmary? She nodded. Well, it was the right bottle, sure, but the contents... Man, you're clever. She was already starting to slur her words. Alisa came to the window, poured the water out of my glass, and replaced it with vodka. Come on. I don't want it. Really, this is not the right time or place. Drink it, or else I'll tell everyone you stole the bottle. But it was you. Well, you had the vodka. You can't prove that. You think I even have to? Alisa said maliciously. Unsure what to do, I stared at the glass. What's important is to get rid of vodka. This was just one of the ways to do it. I breathed out abruptly and swallowed the contents of the glass in one quick motion. A short moment after, I regretted that. Got any food to taste this? Wait a second. Wait, what? Who said that? Got any food to taste this? Okay, wait a second. Alisa said excitedly and pulled a huge stick of ham out of her drawer. I tore it from her hands and bit off a big piece. Phew. So, how was it? You're asking. It's not like I have a full-strength booze every day, you know. I didn't really understand how I agreed to this so easily. Well, how was it? Like double bubble with vodka flavor. Alright, time for another round then. She opened the bottle again and poured us half a glass each. Don't you think that's enough? No way. Well, since we've already started. The alcohol was starting its work. Without a second thought, I gulped down the vodka. Alisa was definitely less experienced. She was having some trouble with her second glass. How does it? She seemed really drunk already. If you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen, I said merrily, pouring myself some more. Somewhere deep inside I realized it was too much, but the gun was already loaded. How about me? Alisa was outraged. Haven't you had enough? No way. She grabbed the bottle from my hand and started to drink straight from it. Hey, we have glasses, you know. Screw 'em, she shouted and roared in laughter. This is so cool, she said, catching her breath. Sure, it's not bad. I looked at the bottle. We'd gone through 2/3. I was definitely drunk by that point, and Alisa seemed even worse. Then again, there was barely anything left. I sighed and poured a full glass for myself and a half for Alisa. That's all. With these words, she chuckled the bottle from the window. From the window. What if they find it? Oh, who cares? We both laughed. Okay then, for all ladies present, I grunted and drank. And for all the gentlemen. She followed my lead. I'm getting dizzy. She undid the few buttons on her shirt. I carefully looked at her. Has she always been this beautiful? Or is everyone beautiful to me at this point? Whichever it was, I could not force myself to look away. You're gonna stare a hole through me if you keep going like that? Alisa laughed. Sorry. Embarrassed, I stared at my feet. You can look if you're so interested. With some effort, I opened an eye and saw her continuing to unbutton her shirt. No words could escape my mouth. Besides, who needs words in a moment like this? What happened then was what was supposed to happen. At the time, I was unable to think of what was right to do, and I didn't want to. I just felt good. The light bulb burned out, or one of us turned off the light, but either way, the room went dark. I looked around her cabin and thought of something. Where is Oyana? What, you're afraid someone will come in and see us? She grinned warmly. Could happen. I asked her to spend the night at another girl's cabin. Wait, so you planned all this? Well, not something like this, of course. She looked at me intently, smiled, and closed her eyes. Yeah. I stared at the ceiling for a while longer and soon heard quiet, deep breathing. Alisa was asleep. My head ached suddenly. The alcohol seemed to be wearing off. Best thing to do in this case is to follow her lead and get some sleep as well. Before I finished the thought, I was already fast asleep. Okay. Some people were chasing me. Or maybe they weren't people, but fuzzy black blots with a hellish landscape in the background. I ran, stumbling over something, having no air to breathe. My whole essence was overtaken by primal fear and terror, and then a memory lapse. I opened my swollen eyelids only for my to-be eyes struck by bright daylight. A terrible taste in my mouth, pains all over body, and a severe headache. It seemed someone was drinking hard yesterday. After coming to my senses, I started to recall the events of last night. I believe there was a bottle of vodka which I happily emptied together with Alisa. I tried to stand up, but something was pinning my left arm. It was the peacefully snoring Alisa. Everything that happened returned to my mind. Fear was quickly replaced by a feeling of euphoria. I relaxed lazily on the bed, enjoying a peaceful hungover morning. Some time later, Alisa woke up. I kissed her softly and said, "Good morning." She gave me a blank look for a couple of seconds and then jumped up, shouting, You! Me what? Yesterday she hissed. But it was kind of your idea. I was drunk. So was I. What can you do? Alisa was furiously looking at me, but then calmed down and sat beside me. Alright, whatever happened. You sure? I got up and tried to hug her. Don't, she whispered, blushing. Why? Because, Alisa frantically shook her head. Because it's 4 o'clock already. And what? Don't tell me you're late for something? Everyone will leave without us. Leave where? Today is the last day. The last day of what? I asked, completely confused. The last day of the term. What? The hangover that seemed to have already passed a while ago made a sharp comeback. Don't tell me you didn't know, asked Alisa in surprise. So you did know it? Well, yes, but I've forgotten it somehow. And what should we do now? Actually, that wasn't the main thing that I was concerned about. If today is the last day, then everyone will go somewhere. So I can get out of this camp somehow. Well, I have no idea. Maybe we can still make it. I jumped out of the bed and started dressing quickly. It was difficult as my coordination was badly disturbed by yesterday's lavish indulgence. What are you waiting for? Alisa didn't reply, but started dressing too. A couple of minutes later, we were standing at the deserted square. Let's go to the camp leader's cabin. After opening Olga Dmitrievna's cabin with my key, I found nobody inside. We checked the entire camp and found that we were alone here. After returning to the square, I sat down and covered my face with hands like a doomed man. I still felt sick, but now it turned out that I had solved a serious problem. Where would they have gone? Well, to the district center, I guess. Do you know where it is? Approximately. Is it possible to reach it on foot? Don't know. And how long would it take on a bus? A couple of hours. Quickly I reckoned how much that is in kilometers. Taking into consideration the quality of the Soviet motor car industry and Soviet roads, one could presume that it is quite possible to reach it on foot, provided that Alisa knows the exact direction. Moreover, in my situation, it's not easy to decide on such steps. But we can't stay here either. Alone, without food, in a deserted pioneer camp. In real life, it would be a definitely bad idea, and I had no other choice but to treat everything happening as reality. Let's go. Where? To the district center. Are you mad? Do you prefer to stay here? Sure, they'll notice that we're missing and we'll return. Don't you think it's odd that they didn't notice it during departure? Well, yeah, but... She started to think. But to go somewhere all on our own. But you said you knew the direction. I do. She agreed without confidence. So what's there to think about? Maybe we'll encounter some local buses on the way. I don't really believe that myself, but if there is an exit from this camp, this idea seems quite solid. I don't know, as you say. She prattled on confusedly. Then start packing your stuff. Meet here in half an hour. I ran towards Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. Yes, not much to pack. I tossed my warm clothes into a bag and I was about to go when an interesting thought crossed my mind. What would I actually need them for? It doesn't seem to be late summer, so what's the point of dragging unnecessary weight along? Especially since I don't know how far I have to walk. After reasoning that one could survive such weather without a coat and warm boots, I shoved my cell phone with its dying battery into my pocket and went to the square. I had to wait at least 20 minutes for Alisa. My hangover seemed to ease a little so I could better focus on the previous night. What did she really mean to me? Was it just drunken sex or something more? Naturally, I can't speak for Alisa. It's difficult even to speak for myself. I began to remember the course of my acquaintance with her, how she teased and mocked me at first, very arrogant and self-confidence. It was more than compensated by the tenderness of last night. It was already clear that she is not the person she wants to seem like. But what kind of person is the real Alisa? And do I have any feelings towards her? I do feel sympathy, a sort of affection, but is there something more? My reflections were interrupted by Alisa. Here, take it. She held out a huge backpack to me. What's this? I asked skeptically. My stuff. Why so little? I brought as much as I could fit. Look, we don't know how far we have to go. Maybe you can take only the most necessary things. So what? I just have to throw it away? Leave it here? Alisa sniffed. Firstly, I couldn't understand why she even has that much stuff, and secondly, what's so valuable in there? But the chivalrous duty of carrying it is mine, isn't it? Of course. She smiled archly. I evaluated how much it would weigh. About 10 kilos, I guess. I can carry that for a few kilometers, but not much farther than that. Bigger than that. You do understand that we'll not get very far with it. Well, we'll do our best. You mean I can throw something out later? We'll see. She answered with her eyes flashing slyly. Okay, I'm taking you at your word. After all, as I have to carry it, I have the right to throw things out of it. And so our journey began. It took me at least an hour to start getting tired. I would never have thought that I possessed such stamina. Either the backpack was easy to carry, or last night's exercises had trained my muscles. I stopped on the roadside and threw Alisa's belongings to the ground. What are you doing? She was clearly resentful. Do you want to carry it yourself? Of course not. In that case, I need to rest. Naturally, the most rational decision was to get rid of most of the stuff, keeping only the most necessary things, but I couldn't bring myself to such drastic measures. You've been keeping silent for the whole time. Alisa was staring vacantly down the road that receded into the distance. What is there to talk about? Don't know, but you're behaving as if nothing happened. Did something happen? She asked absent-mindedly. Well, had enough rest? Then let's go. Alisa began to quickly walk away from me. Hey, wait a minute. I shouldered the backpack and ran after her. We've been traveling in silence for some time, with Alisa slightly ahead and me behind. I had no idea how to start a conversation. She seems to be giving out obvious hints that the night's events were one big mistake. At least it seemed so to me. Though from my point of view, what happened was meant to happen. For the last few days in the camp, I'd definitely been attracted to Alisa. And I believe she was attracted to me as well. In that case, what's the problem? Maybe she doesn't want it to be just a one-night stand. She turned and looked at me. If I did something wrong, you did nothing wrong. But it just turned out this way. So it was just an accident? I didn't say that. Then what did you say? My inability to get a straight answer made me begin to lose my temper, and I raised my voice. You're just giving me hints, ambiguities. What about straightforwardness, sincerity? You weren't like this before. Wait, that was mine. Oh, whatever. People tend to change. She slowly paced forward. Change? You call this a change? You are a completely different person now, just like Lena, really. Alisa stopped but didn't turn. Don't compare... Got it? Don't compare me with her. She spoke quietly, but there was rage in her voice. What? I was somewhat taken aback. You blame me for everything, but what about yourself? You're constantly looking at her. Even now you managed to see her in me. Wait, what's... Why did you come yesterday then? You could have gone to her. You did know. Did you know? Did know what? Did know that I was waiting for you. It seemed that making this confession was a hard decision for Alisa, but at first I assigned little significance to her words. Well, you yourself told me to come yesterday, so That isn't about that. Alisa burst into sobs and covered her face with hands. I was completely taken aback. I still didn't get what she's hinting at, so it was impossible to talk normally. Sorry. Forgive me. Stop apologizing. But if I said or did something wrong, so what's the point in apologizing if you already did? Better to behave yourself from the beginning. But I don't know how. Alisa looked up at me. There was so much sorrow in her gaze that I couldn't bear it and turned away. We stood like that for some time. Soon she seemed to pull herself back together. Okay, forget it. Let's move on. Naturally, I couldn't forget it even if I wanted to, but I had nothing to say anyway, so I followed her in silence. The sun was slowly moving below the horizon. I was immersed in thoughts and even forgot about that heavy backpack on my back. I had to say something, do something. Alisa is expecting me to. At least a few words. But what should I begin with? I'd gotten used to everything in my life being quite simple. Any task seemed to be already finishing after only a few steps. Instead of considering the long way to my goal, I immediately started to think about the results, enjoying an achieved victory. Moreover, I doubt I had to face a situation like this in the real world. Obviously, for a long time I dreamed about a person who could care about me, but right now such a person is in front of me, and yet I feel nothing. And I can't tell Alisa either yes or no, just because I don't know what will happen next. Meanwhile, it got dark. I guess we should make a camp for the night. There's not that much left to go. Are you sure? And even if that's so, it's better to travel during the daytime. You know best, she answered coldly. We stopped at the edge of a wood. Got anything useful in there? I pointed at the backpack. Have a look. Mainly footwear and clothes were there, but on the bottom I found a magazine and a box of matches, quite enough to light a fire. Soon we were sitting on a fallen tree and warming our hands by the fire. Only now did I finally realize that I had finally gotten out of that dark camp. I'd found no answers. On the contrary, everything had become even more tangled as, I guess, I am to spend the rest of my life in this reality. If I don't take into consideration all the sci-fi stuff, it's clear that I'm somewhere in the South at the end of the 80s. How, and more importantly, why I was brought here is not so important now, as I have to somehow adapt. And I ought to begin with the girl sitting by my side. So, what will we do when we reach the district center? Call our parents, what else? Alisa smiled slightly. She had someone to call. And then it's all over. Meaning? Well, we'll leave for our homes. I wasn't really surprised by this answer. I just hadn't thought about what would happen after the term ended. And that's it? What else is there? I don't know. After all that happened. But nothing happened at all, she told me merrily. What do you mean nothing happened? You'll have a chance to find Lena. I was surprised, but Alisa said it absolutely kindly. As if I need Lena. Don't you? To be honest, Lena was the last person I was thinking about now. No. Then maybe it's me? I looked at Alisa attentively. She grinned spitefully, and she was weeping just recently. What about you? I evaded the question. What do you think about me? I don't know. Maybe you can just say it straight out. A long silence fell. Alisa is waiting for a straight answer, but I can't sort it out for myself. This pioneer camp, and now the girl who wants to hear something I can't say that easily. You see, and then I really understood. Understood that now it's no use trying to be cunning and hold things back. I almost managed to break out of the cage. The worst is over. Or, on the contrary, the worst is yet to come, but it's time to speak plainly. You see, what you're expecting from me is almost impossible. Looks like everything's impossible for you, she sniffed. It's weird to say it, but it's true. I don't know what will happen to me, not even necessarily tomorrow, but in the next second. And what might it be? Will we vanish into thin air? Quite possibly. She burst into peals of laughter. You know, I was ready for any excuses, but no, not one like that. These aren't excuses, just listen. Alisa gazed at me attentively and, it seemed, had no intention of interrupting. You see, I don't belong to this place. I'm not talking about the camp, but about the whole world. All of you here are completely strange, incomprehensible people to me. As you are for us, actually. I'm not even sure if you are from my planet or my reality. Quit it now, Alisa said tiredly. Imagine that once you fell asleep and woke up in a completely different place. And not just place, but a different time as well. That's what has happened to me. I used to live in the early 21st century in a city far away from here. I was somewhat older than I look now. I had my own life, regardless of whether it was good or bad, it was my own. And then one night I took a bus, fell asleep, and woke up here, as a 17-year-old pioneer. Alisa looked at me in surprise. And you expect me to believe you? I don't know, it's up to you. It really wasn't easy for me to tell you that. You're a master storyteller, really. Just a sec. I rummaged through my pockets and showed her my phone. To my great surprise, there was still some battery, and the screen was glowing brightly. Have you ever seen something like this? Do you have something like it? I held it out to Alisa. She fidgeted with it, pressing buttons. Well, some kind of imported foreign toy, so what? It's not a toy, it's a telephone. And where are the wires? Where's the handset? She laughed. There's no need for them. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate to you how it works because they're still not invented in your time. Yeah, sure. She said skeptically and handed me my phone back. Anyway, it's your decision whether to believe me or not. I told you all this only to explain what position I'm in now. I still don't know what would happen to me in an hour, so such decisions. Fine, you don't have to say anything anymore, and you don't have to make any decisions. She got up and pushed some more firewood onto the fire. If I've offended you... Nah, everything's fine, she said coldly. I understand. You're a visitor from the future, so normal girls like me don't interest you. You got me wrong. No, I didn't. It's a very credible, logical, and above all, truthful tale. Any girl would dig it. So you still think that I'm making up excuses? Alisa stayed silent. Or that I've gone completely mad? One could expect anything from you. Why do you have to be like this? I said sadly. And what about me? I've done nothing wrong. She grinned spitefully. Just imagine that it's all true and understand why I behave so. I already imagined, understood. Oh, I was about to say something else, but a horn sounded from the road. Huh, there's a bus on the roadside. Oh, Leah is on a regular route. It's odd that we hadn't noticed its approach. At last, salvation. Shall we go? Alisa asked in a completely bland, emotionless voice. Yeah, sure. I grabbed the backpack. I can manage it myself. She took it from me. It's obvious that it was too heavy for her, but I didn't object. Ooh. Soon we sat peacefully on the back seat of the bus. Various feelings fought inside of me. On one hand, I was glad beyond measure to get to the civilized world. On the other, I was guilt-stricken by the unfinished conversation with Alisa. Sorry that I acted so... You expected something different. I expected nothing of you, she replied coldly. I just wanted you to understand. And concerning our relationship, I like you, really. Glad to hear that, but her voice didn't sound so glad. I said it honestly. You see, I don't know what will happen next, but here and now. I guess last night you liked me even more. No, you misunderstood. Should we do it again while the driver can see us? Calm down for a second, okay? I didn't even think about it. What's the matter? You want it, and I don't care. It's the only thing I'm good for. Alisa, wait. Okay, I went to sleep. She reclined in her seat and closed her eyes. Wait a sec. I'm sleeping. Let's talk later. I didn't object. After all, it's good to seek counsel from your pillow. Besides, Alisa needs some time to calm down. Although, of course, I was desperate to explain everything to her in a way she'd understand. But I held back. Still, I was sick at heart. We were alone on the bus. Outside, dark shadows were passing by. Sometimes it was possible to discern a tree, a river, or the pylons of a power transmission line. But the landscape seemed not to differ from the one in the camp. Maybe the world is in a circle and we are just moving around it. Anyway, the surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I just stared at the floor and thought about tomorrow. What will happen? The city, this planet, this time are all strange to me. All are strange to me. And a further talk with Alisa, who was totally disappointed with me. The process of waiting happens to be more tiresome than its result. And finally, things bound to happen don't look so important or fearsome. All your strength is exhausted. There's just tiredness and emptiness in your soul. The bus was driving into the unknown. I couldn't resist and fell asleep. Alright then. I didn't think that I would go for Lena and then actually go for Alisa after. not expect this. Bye.